People ask me what I think about illegal immigration. I tell them it's pretty simple. The first word's illegal, makes it pretty simple. Anything that's illegal, we got a problem with. It's a simple answer. We need to. And how do we fix the illegal immigration situation? If you think about it, we have a tremendous amount of laws on the books already. All you need to do is enforce them. I tell people from my own experience. I took over a business one time, and I'll never forget this. I told they didn't do I-9 forms. I don't know how many people know what an I-9 form is, but an I-9 form is a form that everybody fills out so you can tell if somebody is an illegal alien or not. I had 5 of them come back. I had 5 that didn't come back, so right away we knew there was an issue. Found out those were illegal aliens that were working at this golf course. I told the superintendent, you need to eliminate them because they're not allowed to be, they're being employed illegally. He told me I can't find other people that'll work for that price. And I says, well, I got to tell you one thing. If we get caught, and the fines at that point in time were about $28,000, I said, if you want to sign off on that $28,000, that's one thing. But otherwise, those people have to go. They're illegal. They shouldn't be employed with us. And again, the next day they were gone. But it's enforcement of those laws. We have plenty of laws out there. We just don't enforce them. Healthcare, I tell everybody, we just passed something that I would have never passed and I would have never voted for. And here's the problem. 85% of our issues in healthcare are cost, 15% are coverage. What did we just do a couple Sundays ago? We passed a sweeping healthcare bill that takes care of the coverage but doesn't take care of the cost. So now, who's going to pay for this? We already have a deficit that's going deeper and longer, and I know that's the number one concern, but now we're just going to add a whole bunch more to it. Could we have done something better? Yes. Do we need to take care of the safety net? Do we need to take care of some of the issues like pre-existing conditions? Yes. Absolutely. Do we need to take care of the caps? Those were all good things in that bill. But now how are we going to pay for it? We haven't figured that out. Now I can tell you how they plan on paying for it. They raised taxes on one side. They cut Medicare on the other side. They said wait 4 years before we start really implementing it, and we're just going to take the money for 4 years, and that's what we're going to do. So when they say this is the greatest reduction in the deficit, tell them anybody can reduce the deficit when you charge me for 10 years but only give me 6 years of service. That's a problem, and that's an issue that a lot of people aren't aware of, and it's something we need to really take a good look at. Now, the other thing I would tell you, you can't repeal it. It's law. And I've had people say to me, would you want to repeal it? Well, I would say this. If there was a way of repealing it, I'd like to repeal it and start all over, which, by the way, 68% of the people wanted to do before it was passed. The problem is you can't repeal it without an override, or without an override of President Obama veto. So what we need to do is leave the good pieces in there and start defunding the bad stuff. And if we can get enough people in Congress, we can start to do that, so we can start to take this bill and start defunding some of the bad issues, and really, maybe in 4 or 5 years, reset the table on that health care and make it what it should have been before we approved it two weeks ago. With that, again, I gave you a little bit of insight about some of my positions. I really want to hear from you now. I want to hear some of your thoughts, some of your issues, some of the things you want to know about, or some of the things that you're concerned about. I know the number one concern is spending, and before I do open it up, I will tell you, because a lot of people say, what's the one thing you want to take care of when you go to Congress? What's spending? If we don't fix spending, we've got some serious problems. And how would you fix spending? Same way I would in a business. Same way I would in the city of Wadsworth. What I did in the city of Wadsworth is we put pretty much a freeze on all unnecessary expenditures. And in Washington, I believe we should do a freeze of all expenditures, at least for 5 years, other than the military. Because as I told you, I am still a strong believer in the military. But all other expenditures we should put a freeze on. And then we have Congressman Pence out has a plan that says that we should put a statutory limit of 20% of the GDP on our spending. I'm also for that, because when you put a freeze and a statutory level on spending, it forces your government to say we have to live within a certain means, and today they don't have to do it. So that would be the way that I believe we can get spending under control. When it comes to jobs, which I also think is important, I'm a small business owner. Certainty and predictability. Certainty and predictability. If you think about it, I'm not going to hire a soul unless I know, unless I'm comfortable that certainty and predictability, that when I hire somebody, I'm going to be able to pay for them. When I hire somebody, cap and trade isn't going to take away some of my revenues to be able to pay that payroll. When I hire somebody, the health care bill isn't going to take away some of the expense that I need to cover that payroll. Last but not least, and I know I said that earlier, cap and trade, I got to tell you, there should never be a congressman in this district that ever goes back to Washington for voting for cap and trade. And if Congressman Bocherry stood up here and said it's a matter of national defense, you tell him hogwash. All right? We do have to be very careful about our national defense, but if we weaken our employment and we kill jobs off in America with a cap and trade bill, you talk about the concerns of national defense, it's right there. With that, I'd love to hear from you.